what? Do a little feet pose, do a little grounding, gentle hip work, that kind of thing. So no props necessary unless you want something to sit up to elevate your hips in a seated, like cross-legged or on your knees position. So if sitting on the floor is most comfortable, elevating your hips. Other than that, we'll go ahead and get started in Shavasana, sliding down on your back. You might on your side if your back isn't comfortable. Good morning. All right. We're just settling in on your back, lying down on your back. I'm just going to take a moment to drink some coffee. That's my way of settling in. But as you lay down, maybe on your back or your side, finding a little ease in your body. Noticing if you can unclench your jaw at all. Maybe release some of the tension around your eyes. Coming into stillness here. And if you're on your back, stay on your back. If you're on your side, maybe roll over on your back. We're going to take a supine Baddha Konasana, which is just on your back, like butterfly pose. So staying on your back, start bending your knees and bring the soles of the feet together. And then let your knees splay out again. Your feet, the soles of the feet together can be really far away from your hips, having a gentle bend in your knees. This is traditionally less intense. And then if you want more intensity, you can start drawing your feet closer towards your hips and having a sharper angle in your knees and having a potentially more intense inner hip, inner groin stretch. So just finding what works for you here. Settling back in, your arms can be along your side, or they can be out to a T, in line with your shoulders. Just finding what feels comfortable and natural. Maybe closing the eyes here, or having a soft gaze. Maybe letting any wiggles out. Before coming back to stillness. Maybe closing the eyes here. Maybe releasing some tension in your face, around the eyes. And just notice where your thoughts go. Right now, while you're in this position. Noticing where your mind goes. acknowledging that your thoughts, your feelings are valid, but they don't define you. Giving yourself some gratitude for your creativity, for the thoughts that are helpful. I'm going to do a few deep breaths together. You can breathe in through the nose or through the mouth. And my favorite way of doing this is in through the nose and then open the mouth on the exhale. If you are feeling like you need to build a little bit more heat in your body, you can keep your mouth closed on the exhale as well to help keep that heat inside. But if you would like to release some of that heat and energy, you can open the mouth on the exhale if it's more natural, just seeing what works for you. So, breathing in, filling up the belly, filling up the chest, filling up all the way. You can't inhale anymore. Taking another tiny bit more of air in, and then without any effort, release that air. It's going to be a more shallow breath on the exhale than the inhale. So you're going to inhale, fill up, expand up as much as you can, and then you're just going to release those muscles in your chest and your belly so that the exhale just comes naturally without any effort. So we'll do that a few times together. Breathing in, fully in, filling up, expanding, all the way up, and then release. We'll do that again, fully in, filling up, and let it go. Fully in, filling up with breath as much as you possibly can. Let it go. Fully in, inhaling, expanding, all the way up. Let it go. Release. Fully in, filling up, expanding. Let it go. Release. One more time. Inhaling, fully in, expanding. And just release the exhale. You can let your breath come back to its natural rhythm. And then maybe bring your hands to the outsides of your thighs and help your knees come back together, closing your knees up to meet each other and planting the soles of your feet on the ground behind your hips. And maybe pressing into your feet and pressing your lower back into the ground just for a moment here. If that supine Baddha Konasana put any strain on your lower back, just go ahead and ease it out here. And then start to pick up your right foot. Bring that right knee in towards your chest. And then crossing that right foot over your left thigh. Crossing your right ankle over that left thigh. Engaging through that right leg. Flexing those right toes back towards your right knee. And then maybe pressing that right knee away from your face. Or letting it fall in towards your face. Staying here, or starting to interlace your fingers behind your thigh And so just hug that entire figure four shape in towards your face, your chest. And just taking a few breaths here. A little gentle hip stretch to start. Seeing if you can ground down through both sides of your hips, the backs of your hips, glued to the ground. Maybe rolling your shoulders back into the mat. And taking one more breath here, filling up, inhaling all the way. And then just let it go. Release the leg if you have your hands interlaced behind. Then you can plant the sole of the left foot down on the ground. And then let the entire shape fall over to the left so that you're going to plant the sole of your right foot down on the ground on your left side. Coming into this figure four twist here. You can let that right knee fall in towards your face, and you can press it away from your face. Just finding a nice stretch through the outer hips, that IT band. Maybe bringing your arms out to a T in line with your shoulders here. Palms face up or down. Maybe you want to look at your right fingers. Just taking a breath here. Inhaling fully, deeply, through the belly and the chest, holding it in. And then release all that effort. And then slowly pick that right foot up off the ground, stacking your right knee on top of the left. Before bringing both knees back up to the sky, planting the soles of your feet behind your hips again. Starting to pick up that left foot, bringing that left knee in towards your chest, crossing over that left ankle over your right thigh, engaging through that left foot, flexing it back towards your left knee. Staying here, playing around with pressing that knee away from your face or letting it fall in. Or, if you need more, maybe interlacing your fingers behind that right thigh and hugging that figure four shape in towards your chest. Taking a breath here, fully in, expanding, and just letting go. Maybe trying to keep the backs of your hips on the ground. Maybe try to connect your shoulders to the ground, the backs of your shoulders, your shoulder blades. One more breath here. And then release that right foot back down to the ground, sole of the right foot. And let the entire shape start falling over to the right. So that you're going to plant the left foot down on the ground on the right side. You can play around here with that left knee falling in towards your face or pressing away. And just finding a good stretch here, a good gentle twist through your spine and your hips. Maybe bringing your arms out to a T in line with your shoulders. Maybe looking over at those left fingertips. Taking one big full inhale here. And just release. One more breath in around here. And then slowly start to pick the left sole of the foot up, stacking your left knee on top of the right, before bringing both knees back up towards the sky, planting the soles of both feet behind your hips. And then go ahead and hug both knees in towards your chest. Give yourself a little hug, a little squeeze here. Maybe grounding your back and hugging yourself into a small little ball, or maybe trying to keep your hips and shoulders both on the ground. Just finding what works for you, what feels good. Maybe a little movements, a little side to side with the knees. Maybe a few circles, one direction and then the other direction with your knees. And then start to rock and roll. You're going to come up to a seated position here. You can rock along your spine, or you can just roll over to one side and press yourself up to a seat. We're going to come into a seated position, cross-legged or on your knees. And just breathe into that seated position. Try to close that window. There's a skunk out there. It's stinky. Okay. So if you're on your knees, great. If you're in a cross-legged position, great. And just finding some stillness here for a moment, stacking your shoulders over your hips and finding a long spine. Noticing that finding a long spine, reaching and grounding your tailbone onto the ground and reaching the top of your head up to the sky. You can find length and space through the back and the front body, finding length through your spine, but you do have natural curves in your spine. It's not a straight line. It's a straight spine. Maybe closing your eyes here if you'd like, and maybe bringing your pointer finger and thumb together, making that little like okay signal. And then maybe turning those palms up and then gently resting the backs of your hands on your knees with your pointer and thumb together here. This is a Janu Mudra in yoga tradition. This brings your attention to the tactile sense of your fingertips, and it traditionally promotes mental clarity. And we're going to be coming into a balancing pose here in a few minutes. So maybe finding a little bit of clarity in your mind. If your head is still swirling, maybe see if you can gently let your thoughts come back to your breath and come back to that connection of your fingers. Coming back to this moment, this space that you've created for yourself. Maybe closing the eyes. We'll just take a few breaths here. Inhaling fully and expanding through your belly and your chest. And then just let it go on the exhale. Release any effort. Do that 2 more times. Inhaling fully. And just release the effort. Inhaling fully, deeply. Just releasing the effort. And we're just going to come into a little lateral stretch. So, bringing your palms, your hands back into their normal position, taking out of that connection of your fingers, and maybe start bringing the left palm onto the ground beside your left hip, and then start reaching that right arm up to the sky, your upper right arm reaching back in line with your ear, but it can always be out in front towards your face, but the action of reaching it back towards your ear while spinning that palm towards the midline to release that shoulder away from the ear to the side, not down, right, to the side. And then start walking those left fingertips over to the left. We're going to come up and over with that right arm into a little lateral stretch, maybe side bending here, any amount, maybe walking that hand out more, maybe bending that left elbow. And taking a nice breath here in this lateral stretch. Inhaling fully and deeply, and on your exhale, just release. Maybe spinning the chest up towards the ceiling, any amount. One more breath here. Inhaling, filling up, and then exhale, release. Slowly pressing yourself back up with that left hand, coming back up through seated. Maybe hands on your knees or hands on the ground by your hips. Sitting up tall here, resetting for the other side. We'll go right into the other side, keeping that right palm planted on the ground by your right hip. Reaching that left arm up to the sky, in line with your ear, or the action of in line with your ear. Releasing that left shoulder away from your ear, and start reaching that left arm up as you start walking those right fingertips out to the right. And then starting to side bend over to the right. Left arm up and over. Gluing both sit bones to the ground, saying if you can press your seat, root your seat into the ground so that you can reach your left arm up and over, getting a nice side bend. Maybe spinning that chest up towards the sky. Broadening through the chest and the shoulders. Maybe looking up at that left hand. One more breath here. And slowly pressing yourself back up into your seated position. We're just going to roll over the knees to come into a tabletop and all fours position. However you want to do that, we're going to come into a tabletop, all fours. In the chat. In your all fours position here, however you want to find that position, maybe your wrists are under your shoulders, your knees under your hips, about hip width distance and shoulder width distance. If you want to go a little bit wider, you can, just finding what feels like a natural all fours position with a long spine, reaching your head away from your tailbone, maybe spreading the fingers a little bit here. Maybe your fingers are facing forward, or maybe they're spinning out a little bit. Maybe the tops of your feet are on the ground, or maybe your toes are tucked under. And just finding this position here with a long spine. We'll just flow through a few normal cat-cow positions with the breath. As you inhale, start reaching your chest through your arms, your tailbone up to the sky, maybe looking up, inhaling here. And then as you exhale, round your back, start looking down at your belly and round your back to the sky, maybe shift your hips back. And then coming back through center with the long spine to inhale your chest forward, tailbone up, belly down. And then exhale, press into your hands and your knees, rounding your back up to the sky for your cat pose. And just flying through this with your breath a few times, inhaling through cow, letting your belly drop, in, expanding, and then exhale, rounding, squeezing out that breath. 2 more times like that, inhaling, and then exhaling, squeezing out the breath. And on this exhale, rounding your back up, we're going to hold here for a moment and just start wagging your hips, shifting your hips side to side to get a little bit of that lateral movement here. And then really stop that movement coming into the last cow position here. Inhaling your belly down, we'll do the same thing, wagging your hips side to side, maybe looking over your shoulders a little bit. Getting some of that lateral movement. And coming back through a long spine. Maybe bringing your toes together, keeping your knees apart, and start shifting your hips back to your heels first, and then drape your torso over your legs. Start reaching your arms long along your mat and coming into child's pose here. Letting your head maybe touch down to the ground. Taking a breath here. And start walking your hands back towards your knees, bringing your torso more upright. Having your hands planted beside your knees, start tucking those toes under, lifting the hips. And then we're going to just come into a forward fold, but gently rolling your knees up off the ground and slowly rolling the weight back in the feet, getting a nice foot and calf stretch here as you walk your hands towards your feet with your knees bent, and then start to straighten your legs, but keep your torso glued to your thighs. You can maybe walk your feet hips width distance or wider, but see if you can keep your feet parallel with one another. Keeping a generous bend in your knees, letting your torso fall over your legs, gluing your belly to your thighs. Releasing your head, shaking it yes, shaking it no. Reaching actively through the backs of the legs, your hips up to the sky. If you want to grab opposite elbows here for a moment and ragdoll. And then releasing those hands to the ground. We're going to flow through a half lift to fold a few times. So as you start to inhale, bring your chest off your thighs, bring your fingertips to the outer edges of your shins, reaching that chest parallel to the ground, inhaling your head to the front wall. And then as you exhale, fold forward, bring your hands to your feet, gentle bend through the knees. And doing that a few times with your breath. Inhaling, torso parallel to the ground, fingertips to the shins, filling up long spine, and exhale, folding over those legs. 2 more times like that. Inhaling, half lift. Exhaling, fold. One more time. Inhaling, half lift. Exhaling, fold. And then we're going to inhale through a half lift, and then just come all the way up to standing. Standing tall here. Finding your Tadasana pose or mountain pose. Maybe bringing your feet closer together, keeping them apart. Finding some stability through the soles of your feet. Maybe shifting your weight forward and back and side to side to find that place of stability through the soles of your feet. Pressing actively down through the feet. Strong through your legs here. Releasing those butt muscles slightly so that you can draw those low ribs and hip bones closer together. And then broaden across that chest, reaching those hands down to the ground, your head up to the sky. Taking one breath here, finding stability. Maybe closing the eyes, breathing, expanding fully in. And then just let it go on the exhale. We're going to do just a few arm circles with the breath. So standing strong in your Tadasana or standing position. And then maybe start to circle your arms out to the side as you inhale, reaching those arms up overhead. And then maybe bringing your palms together. And as you exhale, release your hands down through your midline, back into this Tadasana shape. And we'll just do that a few times with your breath. Inhaling, circling those arms out and up, maybe in line with your ears, broadening through those shoulders, the backs of the shoulders to find some space between your ears and your shoulders. And as you exhale, release those hands back down towards your sides. Just do that a few times. Inhaling, arms up, fully in. And then exhale, release your hands down to your sides. 2 more times. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling, releasing your hands back down. 1 more time. Inhaling, arms up. And then exhaling, releasing those arms back down. We'll do that with the fold. So we were doing that half lift, forward fold, and then we were doing the arms. So let's put it all together. So inhaling, arms out and up. And then as you exhale, hands come down towards your midline, bending through your knees and hinging at the hips to come into this forward fold. And then we're going to inhale into this half lift position. And then exhaling and folding down over those legs. Inhaling, maybe reaching those arms out to the side as you come up through your half lift position to standing arms overhead. Exhaling, arms down by your side. Inhaling, arms out and up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhaling, hinging forward, bending through your knees, coming into a forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhaling that half lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhaling into that forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhaling, arms out and up, overhead, in standing position here, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhaling, arms down by your side, Tadasana. We'll do that 1 more time. Inhaling, arms out and up, overhead. Exhaling, maybe flying your arm out to the side and down, coming into your forward fold. Inhaling, half lift. Exhaling, fold. Inhaling, arms out through that half lift position to all the way standing, arms overhead. And exhaling, arms through center, hands reaching down to the ground. We're going to add on now. Inhaling, arms out and up. Exhaling, hinging forward, coming into a fold. Inhaling into that half lift. And then start walking your hands forward, coming into a plank position, knees up or down. And then as you shift your weight forward, coming into the bottom of a push-up, maybe your elbows stay brushed in towards your ribs. And then bring yourself all the way down, belly to the ground. We're going to come into a low cobra position. Bringing those fingertips in line with your nipples. Start reaching those elbows together behind your back, pressing the tops of your feet into the ground, pressing your hips into the ground. On your next inhale, peel your chest up off the ground. Maybe hovering with hands. For another breath here. And as you exhale, shifting your hips up and back on your knees, coming back into a child's pose. And looking forward at your hand, coming through your all fours position. Start bringing that right knee in towards your chest, and then plant the sole of your right foot in between your hands into this low lunge position. You can shift your weight forward and back or side to side, finding that stable low lunge position. Front right foot planted on the ground, stacking the knee over the ankle, back knee, left knee on the ground, finding some stability, popping up on your fingertips, finding a long spine, Staying here, or maybe reaching those arms up overhead, bringing your torso upright here in this low lunge position. Taking a big breath here. And then exhale, plant your hands on either side of that right foot. Step that right foot back through your all fours position. And then just bring that left knee in towards your chest. And then plant the left foot in between your hands here. And doing the same thing, maybe shifting your weight forward and back, side to side, finding this stable low lunge position. Popping up onto those fingertips. Inhaling the long spine here. Staying here, or maybe inhaling your arms up overhead, bringing your torso upright. Taking a breath here, wherever you are. And exhaling, hands to the ground, framing that left foot. Stepping that left foot back to your tabletop, all fours position. And then sitting your hips back towards your feet, coming into your child's pose. You can stay in child's pose here as long as you need. If you're ready, start walking your hands back towards your knees. We'll come up the same transition from this pose into a forward fold as we did before, bringing your hands on the ground in front of your knees, picking your hips up to tuck those toes under, shifting the weight back towards your hips to pop your knees up off the ground, and slowly rolling your feet, the soles of your feet to the ground as you keep the connection of your belly to your thighs, walking your hands back towards your feet, and start to press your hips up to the sky, coming into this forward fold. Maybe looking forward and just coming up to standing through that half lift position. Coming up into your Tadasana. Facing the side, the long edge of your mat. Either one, it doesn't matter. And then just take a big step out to the side to have a wide-legged position here. A wide-legged stance. And then turn the entire right leg open to the right. So you can pop up onto your toes or onto your heel so that you turn your knee and your foot open to the right. So this right foot now is facing either forward or backwards. And then just notice if you can walk that right foot over to the right or the left so that the right heel is in line with the back left arch. You can turn those left toes in slightly here, or keep the left foot parallel to that short edge of your mat. This front right foot facing in line with your knee as you start to bend that right knee in line with your right toes here. Coming into warrior two position. Bending that right knee over the right ankle, slowly easing into this position. If you feel it in through the inner hips or the frontal hips, just easing into this pose here. Finding a little gentleness for your body. Maybe inhaling your arms out to a T in line with your shoulders. Maybe looking over those right fingertips. Seeing if you can find a long spine, your torso upright, not leaning either side, torso upright here. Warrior two. Finding some stability, finding some strength. Breathing here, fully in. Release, let it go. 3 more breaths like this while we hold this position. Fully in. Let it go. Fully in, expanding. Release the effort. 1 more. Fully in, expanding. Exhale, release. Bringing your hands to your hips, start straightening that right foot, that right leg. And then maybe popping up onto your heels or your toes of the right foot, and then turning the entire right leg back in to face the same direction as the rest of your body. Feet parallel here. And then start turning the entire left leg open to the left, popping up onto the heels or the toes, turning that knee and that foot open to the left. Just going to set up for warrior two on the other side. Noticing if your left heel is in line with your right back arch. Maybe turning those right toes in slightly or keeping your right foot parallel with the short edge of your mat. Start bending that left knee towards those left toes, stacking that left knee over that left ankle. Keeping a straight and strong back right leg, easing into this pose here. Finding some strength, finding some stability here. Inhaling your arms out to a T, maybe in line with your shoulders. And maybe shifting your torso forward and back so that you can find that stacked position over your hips, upright. Maybe looking over those left fingertips. Maybe wrapping that upper left thigh out to the back towards your butt so that your left knee is more over the pinky toe side of your left foot. Taking 2 more breaths here. Inhaling fully. And just release for the exhale. Inhaling fully. Release for the exhale. And bringing your hands to your hips, straightening that front and left leg, spinning the entire left leg to face the front. And then bringing your feet together, however you want to do that, jump or step or walk. Bring your feet together here, pressing your feet into the ground. Hands on your hips here for a moment. We're going to come into our tree pose. Finding some grounded, rooted stability through that left foot. Maybe pop up onto those right toes here, bringing your right heel off the ground. And just notice as you do that, what happens with your hips. If you start swaying your hips right or left, and with your hands on your hips, see if you can find some stability, some evenness through your hips, level with one another side to side. You can always stay here. You can bring the sole of the right foot to the left ankle. Maybe spinning that right knee open to the right, any amount, but noticing, keeping your hands on your hips, that keeping the hips stable is priority. That openness through the knee is secondary. Finding that stability through your hips first. Staying here, maybe walking that right foot up to your shin. If you're still stable through the hips and need more, start walking that right foot up past your knee, maybe up into your thigh. And you can assist it to bring it all the way up into your inner thigh. Pressing that right foot into your thigh as you press the left thigh into the foot. Keeping your hands on your hips here for a moment. Noticing if anything changed with your hips. Maybe let that right knee fall in towards the front of your body slightly. Instead of pressing it out intensely, you are still pressing it into your leg, your foot into your leg, but maybe easing off of that knee extension so that your hips can find stability here. And then you can add in any amount of your right knee out to the side once your hips are stable. Finding some stability and balance here. If you fall out of it, just come right back in. Staying here, you can reach your arms up overhead if you'd like. Or if you want to bring your thumb and your pointer finger together, maybe pressing the backs of your hand into this right knee, and your left hand can float. Finding that mental clarity mudra with that pointer finger and thumb connected here. Taking a nice full breath in. Maybe closing the eyes if you want to play around with some balance. Effortless exhales. Fully in. Let it go. Fully in. Release. One more breath here. Fully in. Release. Bring your hands back to your hips. And so slowly start to release that right foot down to the ground. And once your feet are both touching down on the ground, you can shake out your feet, you can shake out your knees, whatever you've got to do, you'll reset for the other side. Tree position. Vrikshasana. Pressing that right foot into the ground, hands in your hips. Notice as you shift the weight into your right foot, and then maybe pop up that left heel. So your toes are still on the ground, but your left heel is lifted. And notice if already your hips want to sway one side. With your hands on your hips, help guide them to be stable, level with one another. Finding, just a little bit of engagement through the belly so that your torso is strong and upward. Staying here, or maybe bringing the sole of the left foot to that ankle. Maybe letting that knee fall out to the side slightly. As long as your hips are stable, finding that stability. Maybe spreading the toes of the right foot, staying here, or maybe walking that left sole of the foot up to the calf of the right leg. Pressing actively through the right leg, finding stability, that your hips are still level. If your hips are still level and you want more, maybe assisting that left foot up into the right inner thigh here. Pressing that left sole of the foot into the right inner thigh as you engage through that right leg, pressing against that foot. And then ease that left knee in towards your body slightly. Hands on your hips, finding some stability, finding some length through your spine as you find stability, levelness through your hips. And then maybe pressing that left knee out to the left. Any amount, as long as your hips stay level. I'm going to take a few breaths here. You could take a different variation or the same variation as you did before. Maybe arms up overhead. Maybe you take that Janu Mudra, pointer finger and thumb together. This time, the left hand, back of the hand, can press in to that left leg, and that right hand can float down by your side. Wherever you are, taking a few deep breaths. Maybe releasing your butt muscles slightly here. Finding a little bit of ease. Level hips. Taking a big inhale here. If you fall out of it, just come right back in. Effortless exhale, release. A few more like that. Inhaling fully. Exhale, release. Inhaling fully. Exhale, release. One more. Inhaling fully. Exhale, release. And then slowly bring your hands back to your hips, releasing that left foot. down to the knee to your right, and then go ahead and shake it out. We'll do a vinyasa to get to the ground. So if you'd like to take child's pose, you're more than welcome to. But if you would like to walk to the front of your mat, standing in your Tadasana pose here, inhaling, sweeping your arms out and up overhead. Exhale, bending your knees and hinging forward into a fold. Inhaling for that half lift, fingertips to your shins. Planting your hands on your exhale, stepping back into a plank position, knees up or down. Exhaling into the bottom of a push-up, chaturanga. Inhaling into low cobra or upward facing dog, just your hands and your feet touch the ground. And then exhale, shifting your hips up and back into your downward facing dog. Pressing into your hands, spreading your fingers, pressing into your feet. If you're in child's pose and want to stay there, that's always a welcome option. Or if you want to explore this downward facing dog, pressing into your hands, pressing into your feet, bending your knees slightly to get your hips as high as you can, and then actively engage through those legs without moving your hands or your feet. Can you get your chest closer to your knees? Can you spin your inner elbow pits towards the front of the room, broadening through those shoulders away from your ears, broadening them away from your ears to the side, not letting them fall down. Taking one more big breath here. Exhale, release. Bringing your knees down to the ground. Sitting up on your knees. Here. And then shifting your... And then we're going to come into a wide plank forward fold in the seated version. So maybe coming to the long edge of your mat if you'd like, and start spreading your legs as far as you want to go. Having a wide stance with your feet, sitting up tall on your sits bones. Finding a place where you can have length through your spine, sitting up tall, engaging through those legs and those feet, your knees and your toes pointing up to the sky. If you need to take your feet closer together, totally cool. If you want to take them further apart, also cool. Sitting up tall here, maybe having your hands in front of your crotch here, planted on the ground. Inhaling with that long spine, keeping the engagement through the legs as you start to walk your hands forward any amount. Keeping a long spine here to start, keeping your feet and knees facing up towards the sky, and just slowly walking your hands out any amount, keeping a long spine here. Inhaling fully, expanding, filling up, and release on the exhale. 2 more times like that. Inhaling fully. Exhaling, release. Any effort. 1 more time like that. Inhaling fully, expand. Release the effort. And then go ahead and round into it. As long as your feet and knees are still reaching and facing up towards the sky, directly up, you can round into it. Maybe walking your hands forward any amount, maybe touching your elbows down. And just rounding into the stretch, releasing any effort here, letting gravity do the work. Taking a few breaths here, slowing down your breathing. One more moment here. And slowly start walking your hands back in towards your hips and coming up seated tall here. Slowly help your legs by grabbing the inner thighs right under your knees and start bending your knees and bring your knees close together, planting the soles of your feet. You can turn to the short edge of your mat so that you have space to lay down. And you can, if you want to engage a little bit of core and slowly articulate your spine down to the ground, you can. If you want to just tuck your knees in and roll down, also that's totally cool. Finding whatever you want here. To come laying down on your back. Maybe bringing your knees into your chest for one more little hug. Maybe rocking side to side. And then finding your Shavasana, laying down on your back in your corpse pose. Letting your feet flop open to the side, letting your arms flop open to the side. Maybe spreading your arms further away from your body, maybe your legs further away from each other. Finding less effort here. Releasing any control over your breath, letting it come naturally. Maybe closing the eyes, releasing any tension in the muscles around your eyes, your face, unclenching the jaw, and letting your tongue fall to the bottom of your mouth. Finding some ease here. And noticing where your mind goes right now. Whatever happened, whatever didn't happen, just let it happen. It exists. It is what it is. Thinking about it now has no control over what happened. If your mind is spinning forward on things to do, just notice if you can gently start to think about your breath without any effort, naturally coming in, filling up your body, and then letting it go on your exhale without any effort. Just noticing your natural breath, the inhales and the exhales. Coming back to this moment, creating space for yourself to exist here and now. Giving yourself some gratitudes. First, by greeting yourself like you would an old friend. And then sending yourself some thanks for showing up, for doing your practice. You can always stay here as long as you need or want. But if you're ready, start wiggling the fingers and the toes, rolling through the wrists and the ankles. Start bending the elbows and the knees. Maybe hugging your knees into your chest and rolling over to your favorite side to press up into a seated position. Maybe you're sitting on your knees, maybe cross-legged, crossing at the ankles or the shins, sitting up tall here, closing the eyes. Maybe pressing the palms together at heart center, pressing your thumbs into your sternum, the center of your chest, pressing the palms together, feeling that connection. Having a long spine here. Breathing in the space that you've created. The space in me honors and loves the space in you. Or namaste. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Tuesday morning virtual classes are so much fun here. As always, these are donation based. So if you'd like to donate, supporting me, and then 50% of those donations go to a different charity each week, and 10% to the Buckeye Tree Lodge for this wonderful studio space. You can send that via Venmo at evweezer. Same as the username here, just without the yoga, just evweezer. And I'll say hi in the chat if you're still there. Other than that, have a great day. See you next Tuesday.